This is a general relationship reading for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus because we're looking at relationships today. Couple of things I want to tell you before we get started. I am using the Lover's Path Tarot to kind of get a lay of the land, and so I've already pulled 6 cards to get an idea of your energy, the relationship's energy, and then the energy of the person or the thing that you have in mind. And so because this is a general relationship reading, I have left the messages open to friendships, family, to work, and then obviously to love as well. The other thing that's important for you to know is that in this deck, I only inverted a third of the deck. So only 26 cards in this deck were inverted randomly. And then I shuffled and I pulled your cards. And so those, usually are indications of where there's a blockage or a challenge or something like that. And that's important, especially for you, Aries, because of the 6 cards that I pulled to kind of get the lay of the land, you have 3, so half of them came up inverted. And so let's get into it and kind of let's get the lay of the land, and then we will pick and choose which ones we're going to get clarification on, and I'll use a different deck for that, okay? So Aries, you came through as the Princess of Coins, otherwise known as the Page of Pentacles in reverse, for the energy that you're currently in. And so what I'm getting from this is that you may be feeling uninspired. I'm also getting sadness. Could also be a little bit of fear. I'm really getting heavy, like uninspired and sadness is what's coming through really strong at this point, okay? So I'm going to keep going. This is just kind of an initial lay of the land so I can get a feel for where you are. The person or the thing that you have in mind is coming up as the 3 of Arrows in reverse, otherwise known as the 3 of Swords. This typically is, especially in this position, talks about contracts, commitments, obligations that we're not stuck to, right? So where a breakup is a contract, right? So like we have a commitment with somebody and something goes awry and we can't be with that person anymore, or the contract needs to break, or whatever the case is. But it came up in reverse. So I'm wondering if the person or the thing that you're thinking about when you started this reading wants to reconcile in some way. All right, that doesn't necessarily mean, like, so if this was a relationship, like a romantic relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean get back together. But I'm getting reconciliation, trying to find a middle ground, trying to find a way to make both parties happy. Okay. The overall energy of the relationship came through as tradition, otherwise known as the Hierophant. So one interpretation here that I can get is, with these 2 cards coming out the way that they did, is, maybe there was a breakup or a dissolution of a marriage or a divorce or, a separation or something of that variety, right, with the Hierophant. Some kind of tradition or expectation was not maintained and not kept. So, Aries, looks like both parties are not thrilled, right? Both parties are not thrilled about the situation. But it's kind of like it's one of those deals that happens. So we'll get a little bit of clarification and see what additional details we can get. And I pulled 3 more cards to get a little bit more here. So I also pulled a card to see, Aries, where you would like the relationship to go. All right. And the card that came out for you is the 9 of Arrows. So what I'm getting from this, you know, what you want from the relationship, I think you no longer want to be stuck in this type of energy, which is maybe some constant like head cycling of thoughts, having repeat kind of stuck thoughts, possibly even dreaming about the person or having, you know, hopefully not nightmares, but that's an option with this card too. This is stress. There's stress and anxiety for you around this relationship. And so I'm assuming this isn't what you want, you know, unless you're a masochist or something and you like to torture yourself. So I'm assuming what this card is signaling is that you would like to get out of this energy and figure out a way how not to be in this, which is anxiety ridden, stressed out, that kind of thing. So we'll definitely get clarification on this one. All right. The energy of the person or the thing that you're thinking about came through as the 10 of Cups. And when I first looked at this card, I got, you know, they want their happily ever after. And I don't know what that means, right? I don't know if that means with you or with somebody else. But the energy that they're coming in, what they want from the relationship that you are thinking about is a happy closure, a happy conclusion, an agreeable closure, agreeable conclusion. You know, if this is something that's ended between you two, I think they would like it to be amicable. If they have moved on, then they're focused on that, right? They're focused on their happily ever after with that piece. So for some of you, that might not be a very comfortable thing to hear. But that is what I'm getting with this. So whichever way this falls, Aries, in your in the relationship that you're thinking about, they want it. They want the dream, whatever that means. They want the dream relationship, the dream life, the happily ever after. And maybe they even want, if this is a cycle, Aries, that's been going on for a while, they might even want this to, you know, it's kind of one of those deals, like they would like to kind of close the cycle out. But sometimes it's hard, especially, you know, if we were married and there's children involved and, you know, there's all kinds of complications that can prevent someone from moving on and past the 10, because after we pass the 10, we go back to the Ace, which is a new beginning, right? So maybe they've been here for a while and haven't really been able to fully reset. And that's why it's coming out this way. You know, maybe they're in a comfortable place with themselves. Okay. And then one last card. I pulled a card to represent what the main obstacle or challenge was for the relationship that you have in mind. And I pulled the Temptation card in reverse. This is otherwise known as the Devil card in the normal tarot. And when I looked at this, and I definitely want to get clarification on this too, there was a thought that came to me. Let's see if it'll come back to me. It's not coming to me right now. This is the overall obstacle and challenge for the relationship. I had something and left my brain. So this will be the first one that I get clarification on. And then we're gonna go to your 9 of Arrows, which is not fun, all right? So yeah, sometimes I see a card and I'll get something right away, and sometimes it takes a minute. In this case, I did get something when I first looked at them, and then it left my brain. All right, so for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, please get clarification on this Temptation card related to the main obstacle or challenge in the relationship that they're thinking about, please. Clarification on this Temptation card, please. Seven of Pentacles. You know, you'll notice if you hang out with me on my channel, you'll notice that I'm not going to just say something when I see a card. You know, if I'm not feeling inspired to say something, I'm not going to say something. I could have rattled off a bunch of things about the Devil card, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to teach you about tarot. I'm here to tell you kind of what messages I get. So the Seven of Pentacles popped out. I'm going to pull out some more and then we'll take a look, okay? The King of Cups, the Emperor, and the Ace of Swords as clarifiers for this Devil in reverse. I'm feeling like there were some harsh truths. I'm getting harsh truth. Someone was very rigid and very stubborn in the way that they offered their love. And they were like maybe overly blunt with the way they dispensed their love. I know that sounds really weird to say, but like, maybe they weren't as sensitive as they could have been, or as sensitive as you needed. And obligations, temptations that were let go of. Obligations and temptations that were let go of. I'm getting really mixed signals with this. I'm not getting clarity. I'm really not getting clear messages with this. If I'm being honest with you, Aries, I'm not going to just kind of rattle something off. I feel like you really worked at something. You really worked at whatever this was for you. That it's something that you really put effort and energy into. And you really wanted it to succeed. Something must have happened, because where you were once, you know, kind of quote unquote stuck together in marriage, that bond was released. And I'm guessing that, I'm kind of feeling like this is you, Aries, like this is something that when you planted this seed of, you know, this marriage, you were really putting effort and energy toward it to nurture it and grow it. And, you know, clearly something happened. You know, we have the Three of Swords, and you're not feeling very confident and inspired at the moment about it either. And so clearly something went down. And I'm getting very strongly that this has to do with commitment, contract, very likely marriage, that kind of thing with these cards, especially with the Three of Swords and the Hierophant for sure. This Devil in reverse is really throwing me for this reading. Instead of, I guess what I'm getting here is instead of sticking with this, right? Because one of the things that the Devil upright gives us is that we stay chained to our obligations, right? We stay chained to the things that we've committed to, in some cases in a not good way, right? And so it didn't happen, right? You didn't stay chained. You didn't stay connected with this person. You didn't stay connected with this energy. If it's a job, you didn't stay connected with the job, even though you had originally put a bunch of effort and energy into it, right? And so apply it to your situation. But the way that so when I pull these cards, this is how I pulled them. So they're sitting like this on my table. And it took me a good minute, so thank you for your patience for me to kind of connect in with this. But now I see what this is saying. Where there was once a connection, and there might still be a reason for you guys to be connected. There was something about the connection that was broken, that needed to be broken, that is no longer. And so the commitments that you once had with this person are no more. All right? And I really feel like you're feeling disappointed about this. I really feel like this is your energy. And I have a feeling, based on these guys, right? So the Emperor is somebody who is very strong-willed, very determined, probably doesn't take advice very well, and does whatever the F he wants because he's the Emperor. The Knight of Cups, you know, I can read the Knight of Cups in a lot of different ways. It has to do, just very generally has to do with how we bring our emotions forward towards something or someone, right? And sometimes the Knight of Cups is genuine, and sometimes the Knight of Cups is full of shit. But those are stories for another day. And then the Ace of Swords, of course, is about some kind of new truth. So coupled with these cards is kind of what I'm getting, like some kind of truth came out and it kind of created this whole new dynamic. I'm guessing this Eight of Swords was, well, I'm guessing this combination, the stubbornness of the Emperor coupled with maybe some harsh words from the Emperor, about the relationship and about the love message. Their way of expressing love might have been a little bit, or you know, maybe the way that they broke it off, or you know, it's something tied to that is what I'm getting here. All right, that was a challenge. That was much more of a challenge than it usually is for me. So I'm wondering, Aries, if this is like all, you know, kind of screwy in your brain. You know, if you're not even exactly clear, WTF, because this was really like muddled, and I don't typically get muddled messages, so this is interesting. So maybe leave me comments and let me know if this situation is muddled for you, because it's definitely kind of muddled for me right now. All right, so let's look next at this Nine of Arrows for you, Aries. This is the energy for you of what you would like for the relationship. So clarification, please, for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus on this Nine of Arrows related to this relationship. What does Aries want? The Chariot, the Nine of Wands, and the Six of Wands. Wow. These two cards have very related energies for me. So Aries, yeah, you definitely want out of this shit. All right, so what you want for this relationship is to get out of this, right? Swords are all about our our intellect and our mental processes. So you are in your head about some shit tied to this relationship, right? And it probably keeps you up sometimes. It might even give you nightmares sometimes. It definitely causes you anxiety and stress. And so what you want is to move forward in a healthy way, and to find your this, you know. I kind of feel like maybe they have found some kind of peace and tranquility and happiness, and you want it too, right? The Six of Wands is all about overcoming and being successful in a struggle that we had, right? And this is definitely a struggle card. The card before the Six of Wands is the Five of Wands, and the Five of Wands is about for me, I call it the squabble card, because it's not an all-out battle necessarily, but there are challenges tied to the fives, of any five of any suit. And so, you know, you want the six, right? You want harmony, you want balance, you want stability, and you want to move past, right? This Chariot is definitely saying, I want to move past this. I don't want to be here anymore, you know? And the Nine of Wands is interesting in this deck, because in this deck it's really all about the struggle that leads us to our self-expression. So this is not an easy energy at all, but it's like, you know, he's kind of almost like the phoenix rising from the ashes here. He's been through some shit, right? This guy's been through some shit, but he figured out how to get out of the shit. And now he has learned how to, you know, be this beautiful being, whatever he is, and fully express himself, right? And so that makes sense. That really does make sense for what you want from this relationship. So all right, so, man, this one's convoluted. I don't think y'all want anything from this relationship, if I'm being honest. You know, I kind of feel like this is just stuck energy. I'm feeling like this is just stuck energy, and you guys are on totally different wavelengths, I'm getting. And you want this. You want to be able to move forward and move on and move past, and maybe that's what this reading is about, and maybe that's why these messages are coming out, is to remind you that this is what you want. And if need be, to, you know, light a fire under your rear to keep moving forward with finding that healing, so that you can have that full expression of yourself that you probably have wanted for a long time. I'm going to look at one more thing. I am going to look at this Three of Arrows in reverse for the person or the thing that you were thinking about. We'll get a little bit of clarification on that, and then we'll get you an animal spirit parting message, okay? So for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, may we please have clarification for this Three of Arrows in reverse related to the Death card, related to the current energy that the person or the thing is in, that they are thinking about, please. The Empress, yeah. So there was the Emperor here with the obstacle or the challenge, and the Empress is coming up for, you know, to help clarify this three. So you guys were definitely, I'm getting, there was definitely a couple here at some point. I don't think that you guys are a couple anymore. The Empress, the Knight of Cups, and the Five of Cups. Did I call him the Knight of Cups before? He's the King of Cups. In this deck, for some reason, I don't know what it is. I think it's because they both have blonde hair. It throws me. I'm seeing if I get a different message. I did get one more thing thinking about this, and it might be, Aries, that what you always wanted from the relationship, and maybe one of the main reasons that the relationship dissolved, you always wanted to have a strong emotional connection, a collaboration, really just kind of be connected with that person, and you know, have those deep conversations and share the love and share the tears and that kind of thing, right? And the person, I'm getting it that this was the person was maybe not able to get into that heart space with you, and instead there was some dispensing of intellectual truths and that kind of thing, more so than maybe being in this heart space. And I'm guessing that you tried a lot of different things to shift that energy before the relationship dissolved. I'm getting for most of you that this is probably a dissolved relationship that's just been kind of one that you haven't, that's been in the back of your head, you haven't been able to let it go. Yeah. Okay, moving on. The Three of Swords. So the card that flipped out at the beginning was this Death card. And of course, you know, death usually always signals some kind of transformation or change. So I'm guessing that this relationship really changed this person. And I'm really getting this is more a relationship than a work thing, but take it as it will. Take it as you will. When this contract dissolved, and maybe it's in reverse, because maybe they dissolved the contract, and there was, you know, obvi here, like, you know, some heartache, some heartbreak, some really challenging things that always go along with this card. Maybe when they let that go, it really shifted them into a completely new energy and a new dynamic. And like, they didn't stay stuck, is what I'm getting. Basically what I'm trying to say is, I don't think that they stayed stuck where you, Aries, seem to be, you know, more in this kind of stuck energy, if that makes sense. I'm having a hard time articulating this reading. All right, so to clarify some more, this Three of Swords in reverse, we have the Empress, the Knight of Cups, and the Five of Cups. Yeah, I think it's really reinforcing what we were just talking about. They moved forward. You know, yeah, I'm sure it was, I mean, if it's this card, it was painful for them too. Wasn't something that was easy for them. I think they just made it a point to kind of move on and move past, and they definitely did. They definitely did. And this card also signals that this was, so we have, you know, kind of, well, and the Death card is not easy energy to go through either. So if there's any consolation for you at all, Aries, in this, because I can't imagine it would be easy to hear that, you know, you've probably struggled moving on more so than they have, right? That can't be easy to hear. if there's any consolation here, this is not easy energy to go through. This energy sucks. I know this from personal experience. You know, so they managed to kind of flip it upside down, which is good, but it's still there though. You know, the Three of Swords, once you experience the Three of Swords, it really never does leave, in my opinion. Some part of it stays with you. Yeah, the Five of Cups. I'm not getting a traditional read on the Five of Cups for this. I'm really getting that they, instead of looking at what went wrong, right? Because they would be in this energy if they were focused on what went wrong. They're not, they're here. So they really did look at, you know, kind of a thing that we hear a lot with the Five of Cups is they're looking, you know, instead of looking at the spilled cups, they did see there were 2 cups in the traditional, you know, Rider-Waite Tarot deck. There's 2 cups that are standing, right? And there's 2 cups that are potentially still filled, and they looked toward that as opposed to staying stuck here. And, you know, I mean, that's really good for them. I don't know how easy that is for you to hear though, Aries, right? And I think they took their love. I think this is confirming kind of what I had at the beginning with this. You know, like, I think they did take their love to someone else, somewhere else. All right, this was kind of an ouchie. This is kind of an ouchie reading. And this one's also complicated. This one is definitely also complicated. Cancer's reading was probably about 50 something minutes because that one was super layered. And I offered them a private reading if they want one. You could email me and I will offer you the same thing because there's a lot going on here. But I think the main message, so some of you might be aware that the person kind of moved on and didn't really stay stuck for very long. Some of you may not. Maybe you've completely lost touch. So, you know, to take that, I don't know if it's helpful in any way, you know, obviously take that. But I think the core of this for you, Aries, is to remember that this is what you want. This is what you want. And that you want to get out of this, right? Your way to get out of this is to remember these energies. You know, the self-expression that we find here, I'm getting finding victories in the little things, right? You know, I could start rattling off a bunch of little victories, but I think whatever that means for you, okay? You clearly want to move forward with the Chariot being right there. You clearly want to move forward. All right, so a final parting message for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. A parting message for this relationship that they are thinking about. Seahorse, watch and wait. What I'm getting from this is that you have to have patience with yourself, but having patience with yourself doesn't mean not, you know, not busting out your inner chariot, so to speak, and finding ways to move forward. That's not what I'm getting with watch and wait. I'm getting patience. Like if you do get frustrated with yourself because you have been in this kind of stuck, both of these are very stuck energies. If you do find yourself getting frustrated or maybe beating yourself up about it, remember what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Remember what it is what you're working toward, right? You're working toward releasing. And that takes time. So I'm going to get you another one. Let's get another clarification message, please, for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus tied to this relationship. What other inspirational message can we give to Aries, please? Bobcat spirit, life is a mystery. So when I see cards like this, especially with situations that are tough, there may be some things that the universe hasn't been able to give to you, or some things that you haven't been able to access, like spiritually, you know, third eye type of access, because of the stuckness, right? You might have been blocking yourself for a number of years from having access and being able to tap into universal consciousness, universal energy. Sometimes when we're super anxious and stressed out, we don't remember our dreams. I don't know how that is for you, but I'm getting like you've been blocked. And that you haven't, because of this blockage, there's part of life that maybe still literally is a mystery to you, right? So part of this is like, maybe because this dissolved, this thing that you were really working on, that you really wanted to see succeed, because it didn't work out. Maybe because we get into relationships, they're usually about love, right? Especially in this country, they're usually about love and romance, and we want the dream, right? Maybe when that dissolved, maybe you let the dream go, you know? Maybe you let the dream go. And so that has remained a mystery to you, right? Like, what does it look like for me to be in love, to have love, to, you know? It's kind of a weird message, but that's what I'm getting. Is that you might feel like, or know, that you missed out, or that you're still missing out. You know, nothing's permanent. We can always make changes, right? All right. This was a tough reading for me, Aries. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I'm not big on bullshitting, and I'm just going to be honest. Like, this was a tough reading for me to do. I'm not exactly sure. I can't quite explain why, but it was. And I hope that there were some 53 and 8. That's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm still studying my numerology, but I like to notice little coincidences like that. I love the word coincidences too. All right, I'm gonna digress, and before I make this video too long and you pop off anyway, I wanted to thank you for watching, and I hope that you found this reading somewhat insightful and helpful in some way, despite my struggle with reading it. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.